Good morning. Thank you for sharing some of your day with us today at Sunnyside Nursery. My name is Holly Shippers. I am the manager for seasonal here.
I'm Sarah Christofferson. I work with Holly in seasonal, and I'm also the container designer.
Today we're going to be talking about fall containers. I'm sure a lot of you have looked at your containers and thought, they're looking a little sad, a little shabby. Time to either freshen them.
Mine are getting tired. Yeah.
Mine actually look pretty good still, but I don't have them out in hot sun. I have shade containers. They have a little more longevity. A lot of them either need to be refreshed because a lot of containers have like evergreens in them that you just need to refresh around them, or just completely redo. I usually completely redo mine. This is the time of year that we're going to think about fall colors. There's gorgeous things in terms of fall flowers as well as foliage. For the flowers, this is a Plumbaginoides. Beautiful blue flowers with bright red buds. Gorgeous. I love it. I have that even in my garden. More flowers. Hypericum. Beautiful yellow flowers that turns into different colored berries. There's different hypericums. This particular one is Magical Triumph, one of my favorites. Has kind of a, what color would you say that was? A corally pink, corally red berry to it. We also have different varieties of ornamental peppers. I think there might be one over there.
Oh yes.
Yeah. These are great. They go on and on and on until we get into our first heavy frosts. We also have a variety of mums. One of my favorite colors is this one right here, where you can brighten them up with some yellow. We've got some orange.
Yep, 4-inch, gallon. We even have the big deco pots. So, whatever size you're looking for, we have a good one.
What else is blooming? Oh, asters. We've got some asters here. We've got these in purple, pink, and pale blue. Do we have white out there?
And maybe white.
There might be
white.
It
comes in white.
Yeah. Foliage. We've got some great foliage colors. This is a Anemothele, also known as pheasant tail grass. What's going to happen is as the weather gets cooler, you're going to see more and more of the yellow and the gold and the orange in it, like a pheasant tail would have.
I bought one of those last fall when I was doing some of my fall containers, and then put it out in the landscape in the spring. It is beautiful. It's turned into this big, it's not super tall. It does the graceful arching. It doesn't flop. I'm so happy with it.
We also have millet. This is Jade Princess. We also have a one that's almost black out there. Starting to get its little flower there. Nice and bright, beautiful.
That one is an annual, and you can get seeds off of it if you want to try growing some from seed, or it might seed itself. If the birds don't pick off every last seed.
I was going to say the birds love the millet seeds. Heucheras. All kinds of colors of heucheras.
Now we're getting into some evergreens that you can put in your fall containers and have them go all through winter and into spring.
I love this one. This one's called Spellbound. And after the class, you can get closer up to it and see what I'm actually talking about. But it's kind of got a silver overlay to the dark foliage. Really pretty.
And those plum undersides are nice too.
Yeah. When the sun's on them, they really show up too. These particular ones need to be in the sun, or they kind of turn brown and blicky. They need the sun for that beautiful color.
There are definitely heucheras and heucherellas that can do more shade too. So make sure you're looking at the echo tags as you're choosing yours. Bold color, Forever Purple. I think I have like 3 or 4 of these at home. I just love this color.
We can't just have one.
Potato chips. Then of course they come in the reds and oranges and peaches and chartreuse colors.
We've also got euphorbias. This is Ascot Rainbow. As it gets cooler out, you can see it's starting to do a little change, and it'll get a little bit more bronzier than this again as it gets colder.
This one's Miner's Merlot. And if you don't know these euphorbias, they are drought tolerant once established. Get a lovely size for kind of your mid-range in the garden, and they get beautiful clusters of little cup-shaped flowers in the spring. Some of them chartreuse, some of them more of a white, so depending on the color of the plant you're choosing.
And this one's a little bit darker. This one's called Blackbird. Now these are things that are going to be evergreen. Here we've got a Lacoste that's gorgeous.
So that's a shade plant, and one of the things that we'll talk about more when we're putting the containers together is we're getting into a time of the year where the sun's not as harsh, we have less hours, it's not getting hot, and if we want to mix in more shade lovers into our containers that are going to be in the sun, they're going to be able to handle it a lot better.
Yeah.
And so if you want some of those shade things in your containers to take you through the winter, go ahead and do it. Just by the time it's getting hot in the summer, get those plants out into a more shade location.
Here's a conifer that I call a toilet brush, but some people like that look. This is a eastern white pine. That is a really, it's as a pine itself, I love it, but I don't love it as a toilet brush.
We all have our own opinions. I have several toilet brushes at
Time
home.
to clean.
She makes fun of my toilet brushes.
We also have a couple conifers over here.
What do we have? Dwarf Alberta spruce.
That just screams Christmas to me. That's the only time we bring them in.
Our Wilma, Cypress Wilma. These ones have a lemon scent when you rough them up.
Also known as the 7-Up plant.
Wow.
Apparently people think it smells like 7-Up. I think
Smells like Pledge to me.
I was just gonna say I think of Lemon Pledge.
Juniper compressa.
Yep, that's gonna stay small. And then we don't have to always think evergreen for fall or winter containers. You can get some interest out of deciduous. This one's a Catinus. This is Catinus grace. Now normally the foliage you can kind of see it's kind of a bluey gray. Well, this is getting its fall color now. It's gorgeous. When it drops its leaves, you're still going to have that branching structure that's still very ornamental. Right here we have a big one.
For your large pots.
This is an Itea. Again, it normally has green foliage. You can see lower down. But look at that fall color. That's gorgeous. And if you look at the stem, it's going to be a burgundy purple stem once the foliage falls off. Again, great color, great structure for your garden or your container. Here is a dogwood. Now it hasn't started doing color yet. It's still green. But when everything drops off, this is going to have some great red stems. And we can't forget our beloved blueberries. Look at the color on this blueberry. Isn't that gorgeous?
You can go a couple of different ways with blueberries. There are the deciduous ones that get some great fall color, and then you have the twig structure in the winter. Or you can go for a blueberry that's an evergreen. A lot of them tend to be a smaller plant, and you get that nice blue-green color through the winter.
And here we've got a Japanese maple. Now this started out green. It's going to have yellow, gold, and orange color for the fall. And then when the leaves drop, you're going to have this beautiful little kind of, an umbrella, a roof, whatever you want to call it. And then over here, look at this gorgeous sumac. It's just starting to turn its color. My dream is to have 20 acres with the house in the middle, the big trees on the outside with a line of sumac at the base. So I can just look at the fall color. I love that. Don't forget about fragrant things. This is a sarcococa. This will bloom in the wintertime. Think in terms of scents too, not just the fall color. It's a gorgeous green. It's an evergreen.
It's another one of those shade plants that you can put in your sun containers this time of year.
Very, very sweet. You can also do a Daphne, a winter Daphne that bloom in the wintertime as well. Very fragrant. Some have very decorative foliage, and I did not bring one in. This is a Mahonia. Beautiful, beautiful burgundy purple color. When the sun's on it, it looks a little bit red.
Every winter, we have some nice big upright Mahonias. Charity being one of those, and they get beautiful yellow flower stalks on the top in late winter, and the hummingbirds go crazy for them.
I've got a Charity, and I swear at nighttime the flowers glow. They're so bright yellow. I just love it.
It's amazing.
Mine's about this tall now.
There's just no flower color around.
Yeah.
And to have some food for those hummingbirds, that's a natural food source.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. They fight over our greenhouses when we have those blooming.
Container gardening is a great solution for a limited space. It's great for a welcoming container for your front door. You can add, like, say, a colorful container that's planted in one of your existing ground flower beds. Just get it out there for some winter color. I have several clusters of containers in various beds that I use purposely for that.
I like them for a lot of height and dimension, or if you have plants that are still young in your flower bed, so you have space in between them where they will grow and fill in.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, you can put pots in those places. That's a temporary placeholder for when those plants grow up.
Yep. Just remember to move them if you have it sitting on top of one that's gone dormant, or it's not going to come up.
Now, one thing to consider when you're putting your containers in flower beds is that you don't want that drainage hole sitting right on the soil and compact and plugging up.
Yeah.
You want good drainage in your container. So whenever I'm putting one someplace that's not on my pavement or my patio, I buy kind of inexpensive stepping stones that have a kind of a rough texture, so there's plenty of escape for the water to come out of my containers. Another fun option, especially on flat spaces like patios, are the pot feet.
Pot feet. We got simple square.
Over in the backyard,
We've got
earlier in the season, Holly and I planted up some big containers. If you wander through, you'll see them over there on the deck. These little squares are the ones we have underneath there to keep them from leaving a very wet spot on the deck and rotting it out.
And we're all out of butts, but we'll have butts eventually. I have plenty of butts.
It looks like a bent over person with their bum sticking out.
Like
That's
people
what you're talking about.
People come into my driveway and they go, "Am I looking at a butt?" Yeah, you look at 3 of them. Picking your container. You want to make sure that you have the size that you want. That will help you determine how many plants. This one obviously isn't going to take as many plants as these 2 containers in front here. You also want to make sure you have drainage. You've got to have plenty of drainage at the bottom. This has a good sized hole to it. That's plenty of drainage. Soil. You want to make sure you pick the right soil. We have some customers that say, "Oh, I just dug it out of the ground." Don't do that. You want to get some soils that have good nutrients to them. This is Edna's. It's got bat guano, seabird guano, and seabird feathers. We've got, this is 420, also known as Ultimate. They just have different packaging. It's all the same stuff. This is it has a little more to it than the Edna's. They're both equally as good though. This one has bat guano, seabird guano. It has beneficial bacteria. It has microbes. Microbes are living things that break down your organic matter. It's like Pac-Man. I think we have enough people here that know what Pac-Man is. It's like, yeah, there you go. Yum, 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 yum. It's going to break down all the organic matters.
And then it helps the plants with the uptake. The reason you don't want to use garden soil in your containers, several reasons. It acts different in a container. It really compacts in a container. You don't have all of the worms and critters and stuff, keeping it aerated. And also, we tend to pack a lot of plants in our containers. At least we do.
We do. You'll find out.
So this is a very limited resource for those plants. So it's even more important to make sure you have good fertilizing practices, because even though we're starting with soils that have some good nutrition,
you have to keep that going.
Especially, of course, we're going into the fall season now, but especially when you're doing your spring and summer containers, you put those annuals in there, and they are heavy feeders. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up on the fertilizer to keep everything looking its best.
And remember, ground soil still has to have nutrients added to it. So if you ended up putting ground soil in here, you still have to amend like you would your ground beds. So you're just adding something without nutrients that you have to make work.
Now Holly was talking about the 420 or Ultimate, kind of being a souped up version of Edna's. We love it for vegetables. We love it for annuals.
I love it for everything.
Another one that you might consider if you're wanting to do something that needs to, even better drainage, like a Japanese maple. They don't like to sit and have soggy feet. So using the raised bed mix is a good way to have even more drainage. Raised bed mix is like a combination of the Edna's potting soil and the planting compost, so it just gets a little chunkier.
With mycorrhizae added. And mycorrhizae is very important. Myco is fungus, and rhizae is roots. It's beneficial fungus and roots that will get into your root system and help them establish and grow and become strong.
They have a symbiotic relationship with your roots. So they help extend your roots, help gather nutrients for your plant, and in turn the plant is feeding them with their sugars.
Now fertilizer. You also want to have fertilizer. Fertilizers are kind of confusing for a lot because you can use the same thing for different things, So I always like to use whatever I have in my garage, but Sure Start is a great one to start anything out, whether it's a container or the ground or an all-purpose. It's just what that is. It's all-purpose. It's
I think
equal
the Sure
numbers.
Start is great this time of year because we're not wanting to have a lot of nitrogen and push a lot of growth when things are going to be trying to go dormant.
We just want it to establish itself.
Rather give it something to help work on its roots, so it has the plants have a good base.
And the rose and flower fertilizer is another nice one.
Fantastic if you've got blooming plants in there.
Yeah. Also, oyster shell or calcium in general. Very. I can see it. Very important. Calcium is important for plants like it is for us. Calcium for plants will help establish good, strong plant cells, which will help the plant fight disease. Very important. Azomite. Trace minerals, and it's all over me. Trace minerals. Very important for all plants as well. This is going to help your plants store their nutrition, so as they're feeding from that's their reserve. They'll feed from that. Very important. Also good for any edibles. It will enhance the flavor of any edibles, whether it's herbs, veggies, fruit, berries. Very important for plants. Get the fertilizer. Okay, we did that. Accessories, we showed you the feet and talked about the butts. This is an upsidaisy. This is to go into containers that are big. Well, they come in different sizes. I just grabbed one size. So you want to get one that fits, and you put it in your container so it goes to about, somewhere in here, so you're not filling it up with soil you don't need to use. And it also lightens the load.
So that's really great for some of those really tall containers. Do keep in mind that you have kids running around or dogs with zoomies or what have you. They're going to be a little bit more top heavy at that point, unless you maybe put a few rocks in the bottom. But also, I generally recommend if you're putting centerpieces or perennials that you want to keep in the container for several seasons, I wouldn't use something like the upsidaisy because I want to give it as much of the soil resources as I can. So, you know, if you're doing fall containers with things that, you know, aren't going to be in there very long, you might not want to use all the soil that fills that whole pot.
Yeah, yeah. Plant caddies. Excuse me. This one holds 500 pounds. This little thing can hold up to 500 pounds. And it's very easy to scooch around. All right, let's talk some thrillers and some fillers and some spillers. Thrillers, they're going to be your height. Fillers are going to be your in-between, and spillers are going to be sometimes what falls over. We have exceptions this time of year.
So here we don't have as many spillers to choose from, but we do have some evergreen ones.
But thrillers are going to be your height, so you can use the millet or the grasses or the toilet brushes.
A lot of people will ask. A lot of people will ask, well, is this a thriller? It depends on the size of your container. You know, a thriller in this container might be this tall. In a big container, that might be a filler.
Yeah.
You might have something taller as
Yeah.
your thriller. So it depends
so it all
on your pot
depends.
and the height and what as to what roll it's going to fill.
And then fillers are, you know, things that will just fill in the middle. And sometimes we kind of fudge on that. Like, I will use a hypericum for a filler, but eventually it's going to be a thriller. So that's when I take that out of the pot and put something else in. Other fillers would be, again, euphorbias are great as fillers, but some of them do get tall. So eventually those are going to be...
If you're doing a small pot with maybe 3 plants in it,
Then that's a
this
thriller.
could be a good thriller.
Yeah.
Something a little lower and something spilling, and you've got a whole composition.
Now spillers, let's go over here to this. You want to show the spillers, the few that are there. Not everything's going to be spillers that are going to just trail. You can also just have your layers, like 3 layers. So you've got your thriller, your taller fillers, and your shorter fillers. So 3 layers is going to give you the same idea. But I've got Vinca Major here as a spiller, and that one is which ivy is that?
Hans.
That's Hans ivy. Just a nice green. There's so many different Vincas. There's variegated Vincas.
The Vincas and the Ivies are evergreen too, so if you want a spiller for your winter pots, it's going to stick around.
And then there's a grass here called Carex Eversheen. No, Carex Feather Falls. And it kind of works as a filler. You put it on the edge, and a spiller. You put it on the edge, and it goes down there.
Yeah,
it just isn't going to be really long.
It's going to add nice volume.
It'll soften the edge.
A couple that I have in containers are hanging down to here at this point. Nice big grass. So this is going to be great for a season in a small container, but this is really going to fill up probably a quarter of this pot as it grows and ages. So it can be moved to a bigger container as it grows up.
You want to start planting yours and talking about your
Sure,
plants?
I'm out here.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so in your handout there's some kind of basic designs. There's the center design where you have your thriller in the center with a triangle of a step lower, and then another triangle of your spiller or shorter filler. Another way to go, if you're backing it up to a wall or a fence, you're only going to be looking at it from one side, is to put your thriller in the back. And at that point, I like to think of it more as stair-stepping my plants. So the tallest, flanking with a couple a little bit shorter, getting some fillers in the center, and then maybe I have some moundy fillers and spillers on the front. So that's what I'm going to do with this pot. I'm going to put my Primo Arborvitae. This is a fantastic conifer for containers. It gets to 4 feet tall. Yes?
Just a quick question. Is it okay to put like bulbs in before we start all this stuff for spring blooming, or?
Yeah, or usually what I do is I get my root balls in here and then put bulbs in the pockets in between them as I'm filling with soil. So then they don't, they'll usually find their way around a root ball, but if you do it that way, you know they're just going to pop right up in those spaces.
Okay.
I've done that at the entry gate every season, so I have some cute little stuff coming up in the spring.
Shall I pour?
Sure. Add a little seasoning.
Little seasoning.
the bags do have guidelines as to how much, but when you do it all the time,
And it's
like
organic,
baking.
and I'm not going to worry about. This one thing about organics, you don't have to worry too much.
So the Primo Arborvitae,
You'll be stronger than that, you know.
we have some younger, smaller guys out there. They are a little bit on the spendy side, a good investment. Because they're such a slow grower, it means the grower's been growing this for quite a while. So that explains the cost, but you're also going to have a plant that doesn't outgrow your container very quickly. You could have, like this should be in this pot for years. You have plenty of room. You might have to edit and take a couple other things out if you want to leave this guy, but excellent for containers.
What was that again? A Primo?
Arborvitae Primo.
Because it's primo.
So it doesn't grow as fast as other
It's-
arborvitae.
No, it's not as fast as like the big hedge, you know. And keep in mind, things in containers are going to be slower anyway in growth than if they were in the ground.
So this pot that I'm doing, I am gearing toward going all through the winter and into the spring for us. So all evergreens. This is a euonymus gold spot. Getting some bright color. We can certainly use that once we get to the winter, but it's a great fall yellow as well, fall gold.
Soil added to
I probably will, yeah. Give them a booster seat.
You can see that it's a much smaller pot, so it's got to it has, like she says, it's a little booster seat. Let's get there.
All right, so this is one of the ones that guys that's going to flank my main thriller here. Now we're starting that stair stepping. I'm going to go on the other side with Carrick's Prairie Fire. Very similar to Orange Sedge, a little bit lighter golden color in the sun. If it's in the shade, it'll be more green. And you might notice I'm not roughing up the roots too much. If they're circling, I will. But you know, this has I see a lot of little growth tips on here. I'm not too worried about roughing this up and making it do a whole lot of repairing. I'm just going to let this go as it is.
Yeah, when the roots are really tight and dense, you want to give it a little massage. Just wake it up, let it know, okay, you can stretch out some.
Okay, let's
What's
go
next?
with the Euphorbia.
Euphorbia,
A
blackbird.
Euphorbia that has a lot of tags in it for some reason.
Somebody
We really want to know what this one is. So this is Blackbeard. I think I'm going to have to take one of these home. It's gorgeous. But I want a little bit of depth in this composition here. Scooch. I'm going to tuck this over here. I don't know if you noticed, I considered putting it over here, but then I'm looking at the textures and they're pretty similar. So I'm going to put it over here with this grass, very completely different texture. And I chose a plant that even has like a stair stepping in the foliage, so I can kind of see more of its face as it's in here. So a lot of times when I'm doing containers, I specifically look for plants that are kind of one-sided rather than perfectly round. This guy's going to need more of a booster, but because I've got a nice big pot, instead of putting one plant in the center, I'm going to put two. He's tucked in here. He's short.
Well, it's okay. You know it's short side.
So most of us know Dusty Miller. Generally plenty hardy here to get through the winter. He's circling a little bit, so I'm going to loosen him up.
Enough snow.
And you know, so at this point we've got no flowers. We've got a lot of color interest so far. I'm going to add a hellebore. We generally know this is a shade plant, but like we talked about, we're not getting the intense sun and the intense temperatures. So this is going to do just fine in this pot. It's going to give us some February bloom color. This one in particular being Ice and Roses Mindy Marble. I'm going to get kind of a white and blushy color flower. But also I like this one because it has the marbling color in the leaves, so even without flowers, you have a lot of interest in this one.
And what was the name of that one?
Hellebore, Ice and Roses, which is the series name, and
Mindy Marble.
Mindy Marble. There's a series of M names, and this one's Mindy. Little tickle.
Yeah, these are pretty dense, so she's loosening them, just lightly loosening them. She tickles, I massage. Now look at the contrast with that bold foliage and then the smaller behind.
So this I'm going to use as my spiller. It's just going to be starting, but these ground covers, you know, normally you would see it growing along the ground, but I'm going to let it fall over the edge of my pot. So this is Juniper Sea of Gold. So,
And that will eventually spill down a bit.
where do I want my front? There's a lot of spillers.
Yeah. And we'll just ignore the tag.
Tuck it in there. It's already gracing that edge, softening it. Tuck, tuck, tuck in the tags.
What are you gonna put in
This one. Which is
there? I don't think you
which
need
is
to.
shallow. And then I've got pansies. Alright, I grabbed a heuchera. This is the Carnival Series Watermelon. I love the variety of colors that are in this. I'm getting an orange added, but my personal choice was this more muted orange. I feel like it's going to be nice for taking us through the winter and not being bright bold. Of course, you could go with someone brighter. This is City Rio. That would be a really nice look in there. And then we even have like Forever Red if you want a really
Yeah,
red
that's at
bold
your
color.
feet.
Oh yeah. You want to add the red in there. But I'm a fan of watermelon. I have this one at home too. And this, you know, we generally consider a filler, but it's gonna kind of mound and hang some leaves over the edge too.
Now we have our rules, but then we fudge them a bit.
Yeah. Once you know the rules, you can play with them and break them and use them however you want. And then because I just have to go a little extra and I want flowers, I'm going to stick a couple pansies in there. This one is rose, matrix rose. I love these more saturated colors for fall and winter. And of course this is going to take us into spring too. If you guys haven't purchased pansies and violas in the fall, this is the beginning of their natural season. So they're considered an annual, but they like the cool season, fall through spring. So you get them now, you get a huge bang for your buck because they're only $2.50 a piece. And they can freeze. You'll find them just flat and frozen, and the sun hits them, and they flying right back up. So I think pansy means tough. We call each other pansies, and we mean it as a compliment. And I like the play off of the underneath side of that color.
Now keep in mind this might not show a lot right now, but it will grow and it will spill and it'll grow tall.
Yeah, this is being an annual and being in the beginning of its season. This is probably going to be the fastest grower in here, so it will fill in pretty quickly and come up in here. This one might get a decent amount before we get cold too. Decent amount of growth. And one more, just because I love it.
Now you can see how she's got it all stepped down. Where the thriller is in the back, this is meant to be like against a wall or fence or something, so you're not walking all around to see what's behind it. And I'm going to be...
So this would be great if you wanted to do 2 of these flanking your doorway. That would be gorgeous, and you could have it all season long. This guy being an exception if you wanted to have it all year round. You might want to put something more happy in the sun. But this could take you this could take you all year if you wanted to, or you could pop a few things out, add some annual color in the spring if you wanted to.
You've been putting plants in there. Aren't there holes between all the plants? Like I'm always adding soil.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll do that later. Just pretend we did that.
I wasn't going to bore you with filling in all of the holes, but that'd probably take you 10 minutes right there just to go in and fill in all the holes.
Okay.
But you absolutely want to do that and have the tops of your root balls at about the same height, about an inch and a half down from the lip, so you have plenty of room for watering. You definitely don't want to mound up your soil because then it just sheds out of the pot instead of settling in the pot.
So,
Yeah?
How long would you leave that planter thing?
For me, because I'm always changing stuff and playing with stuff, I'd probably leave this until the spring sometime. But you could even go longer with it. I've got these plants planted fairly closely, but they do have a lot of room to grow down. So they will be able to keep growing if you wanted to keep it in here for a season.
and if you decide that you want to just refresh or do the whole thing over, put these in your ground. You know, continue enjoying them in the ground, and then recreate something new.
That's one of my favorite things to do is to plant with plants that I'm going to want in my landscape with as they get bigger. Enjoy them in a container where they're a little bit more visible as they're small. And then you get double duty out of them.
And we do like to play with our plants. All right, so I'm going to do one where you are going to see it all the way around. This is a pencil point juniper. I'm going to put that right in the center of the pot. This is a Lakothaway City Red. I'm going to stick this in there. Oh, so this happens sometimes where the grower doesn't grow them on a whole lot. There's hardly any roots there. There's enough to survive, but we're not usually happy with that.
Lakothaway is another one of those shade plants.
It can take the sun this time of year, and you can see the red is starting on it. So I'll plunk that in there. And I do like, this is a Carex Eversheen, and that's going to be
Gorgeous. They came in
just love
huge.
these.
So really good deal. Those are up in the seasonal department if you want one. That should be in at least a gallon sized pot, but we'll sell it for cheaper.
And have your soil close at hand because, again, they're different sized root balls that you're going to be added, and you want to not bury them too deep. That's gorgeous. Cousin It.
Filler and spiller.
And I kind of like to add the silver. This is a Dusty Miller. I like to add that. It just feels wintry.
It does.
I'm going to stick this back here. I'm going to play off of the blue of the juniper. And I'm going to add some flowers. This is a mum. I like orange. So a lot of what I do is orange.
Now with your mum, fantastic fall color. It's not going to be blooming in the winter. You could then just pull that one plant out and replace something else that's going to take you through the winter in there. Or even it could even be a pansy. Let it grow and fill that spot.
And
Or
look how,
cluster of pansies.
look how the color of the orange plays off of the red of the Lakothaway. Let's see. How about something evergreen next to that mum? And this is a Bergenia. Bergenias can give you a couple different times of bloom. This decided it wanted to bloom. We're going to put that right here so there's a little bold evergreen behind that mum.
Squeeze it in there.
Squeeze it! I like to squeeze them. All right. This is a Carex. So we got a purifier too.
They're looking good right now.
We'll be twins. I'm going to put this behind that Bergenia to help complement that bold foliage. And I like to have grasses like this in there. It kind of gives it that free, airy feel.
Lightens it up.
Yeah. What else do I want? I'm going to spin it. Maybe. So we still got stuff going on back here. Let's put a Hypericum next to that Lakothaway.
This is eventually going to be a big, beautiful shrub. But right now it's a little baby that we can tuck in our pots. Another one of those double duty plants.
A little double duty. All right. How about a fern? This is an autumn fern. I like to work off of the new foliage color. And again, it's orange. Let's put that next to the grass.
This is a perfect season for Holly. She's all about the reds and oranges.
I am. It puts a smile on my face. And then I like hoop red. They're so simple and easy. In so many colors. We give it a booster cheer here.
Did you bring in another carnival watermelon? Look at that, we're agreeing on plants today.
What did I do? Yes, I did. We'll tuck that in. See, that plays off of the new foliage of the fern and of the Lakothaway.
That's that filler spiller roll where it's gracing the edge and softening it.
And I normally, because it has orange, do this. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to put some blue pansies in there.
Any color is fair game. You don't have to go, oh, well, fall colors are supposed to be red, orange, and yellow, and it just gives it a little, cools it down a little.
And I figure there's blue in the juniper, so.
Well, great contrast with orange.
So see how that plays off of the juniper? And maybe I'll tuck one in here. Squish. Spin it around. And I'm going to play off of this blue here. And again, that will eventually fill out. And I'm going to put one more over here. Right there. And this is one that you just see all the fun, all the beautiful color, all the way around. So, we're going to do something a little different that I started doing with the last container class. You guys are going to build one. So let's get behind here and you want to plant it up and we'll let them decide what goes in.
I'll plant it, you Vanna the plants?
I'll be a Vanna. So this is the pot. So I'm going to hold up each thing. We're going to start with a thriller, then a filler, then a spiller-ish, and pansies. The louder the plant gets, the louder the clapping the plant gets, that's the one we get to use.
So you guys can't be quiet anymore.
Nope. Aster. That didn't even get a wiggle. Carex. Mum. Oh, they got some noise.
Takers for the mom.
There's another type of Carex. Okay, that got more than the mum. Alberta spruce.
You want everything.
Wilma.
Wilma.
Okay, our last one. Compressed juniper. Yeah, it's the Wilma.
No.
It's the Wilma.
Wilma.
All right, filler.
I love chartreuse in any combination. It brightens up everything. Let's mix it all pop.
All right, filler. There's going to be more than one filler, so this is a hoopra. It's called zipper. Here's another one called Midnight Rose. It's got little pink speckling. Okay, they got more than the zipper.
I like that one.
Okay. A little dusty. Maybe a little bit. Hypericum. This is Midnight Glow. Okay, that's a possibility. This is a pepper, onyx. And a haluna. Alright, let's start with these three.
I'm having conversations over here because I want another level in here. We went to short.
So all the ones you guys picked are there. She's gonna put those in.
So like this one?
For a filler or for a spiller.
I want taller.
You want taller than that?
I want them to choose. We just,
Or left or your left.
Our left.
They determine they want the blue.
we'll go with them.
Spiller. Woo. The Vinca. The Ivy. So it's either this. Let's try again. The Carrots. The Vinca. This got a woo. Okay, we'll hold off on pansy colors until we get it all
We
put
need
together.
to narrow this guy
Yeah.
down. Do we want to?
Just pick from here because these are yeah, they want it all.
Oh, here's a good,
Ooh, we got a spider.
very windy. So I'm gonna even rip into this one a little bit. I know this plant is not fussy about its roots.
No. You can tell with the roots they're
If
tough.
you're not sure, sometimes the tags will say if they are sensitive to root disturbance. This one's not. Yeah? Good? Get our orange in there. This one got some claps and I like it with the blue.
I like orange and blue together.
So what do we think? Do we want to shove another, with some height back here? Something that's going to play with the orange nicely. We could go dark. We could do a mom.
There's a yellow one that mine used. How about oh, that blends in.
Yeah, it's too similar to the pepper.
These are big gallons.
Taller grass. Good
Grass?
Or a mug.
Too much?
Just too much. How about the
That's short.
That doesn't go very well. How about the
How about that grass in front of the toilet brush?
the Imperial?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll squeeze it
You
in.
got a yeah? You got a bunch of yeahs.
I'm gonna make it
Yeah,
work.
smush it. We're brutal. Okay. What pansy color do you want in it? Purple, blue and yellow. What is that, red? Ah, yellow. Pink. That didn't even get a single thing.
That's my favorite. Come on, guys.
Purple and white.
Yeah, that's good.
I got the
I like
blue.
the purple and white.
And
I'm
then
gonna get her
there's
up front here.
purple on purple. So
All right.
these two got the noise.
All right, let's see what they look like.
I gotta get out here so I can see what you've created.
Here's the purple. More lavender purple.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I'd also like to try the rusty color one. Just to see what it looks like in here.
Well, you know I'm gonna say I like that one because that's the color I go for.
So we're liking this one the most, it sounds like?
Yeah.
Can you try a red?
We could have a red
The one you call on
pink.
the wagon. Is there one on the wagon?
That's the rose
There's
color,
a pink
but
one.
I like it because of the saturated color.
Yes.
It's almost like you need a pillow or something.
Here, try the yellow. Someone's saying it looks like it needs yellow.
Well, what we could do too is kind of scooch this guy because it's not really going to get taller. And know that our pansy is going to grow. Let's stick it back here a little bit more. Yellow with the blue echo? Yeah? Alrighty. Loosen her up a little bit. Let them mingle and play.
That's your creation.
You like it? Now we've got quite a few perennials here. And then once this peters out, you could put something else in its place for winter. It would only take one little plant to fill it out for winter. I think it'd be beautiful. You know, it would be a pretty replacement in here for winter is Gaultheria wintergreen. Did you bring any wintergreen in?
I did not.
I don't know.
I don't think we do yet.
If you're not familiar with
Next week.
wintergreen, it's a ground cover, evergreen for the shade, and put on the edge of a pot. It will hang berries. Most common is the red berries, so they're fantastic for Christmas containers. There's also one with a berry that's white with a pink blush. So that would be a great replacement for this one once we get past
Into
the
the
frost.
cold, yeah.
Yeah, so we can keep using the same arrangement. This, of course, is going to not have the blue flowers, but it will get some burgundy and rust colors in the foliage. And this is going to get our orange of our brightness. I think that's a great combination.
Good job. Do we have any questions? Yes.
Some people say to put a layer of gravel in your pots to
Not
facilitate
necessary.
drainage, and
No.
other people say absolutely not.
Not necessary.
It actually what it does that we know at this point
Very
is I planted both grasses.
Yeah.
The bottom part of your soil is going to be the wettest. No matter what you have in the pot, the bottom part of the soil is going to be the wettest. So if you have soil all the way down here, this is going to be the part that stays pretty wet, like a sponge. Like some will drain out, but it's going to hold some like a sponge. If you have your bottom up here above rocks, you're going to have the soggy spot up here. You're going to have less resources because of less soil, and your soggy part is going to be up and more into the root zone. So it actually does the opposite of what we thought it was doing. So no rocks, no shards of
Rocks,
things.
marbles, glass, all that, they can collect bacteria too. That's not good for your plants.
So the one recommendation that I do have, especially if you're, say, putting this on a nice clean patio or a new deck or something, that drainage hole, whenever I'm planting these up that have a good sized drainage hole, I put a coffee filter over that. So the soil's not flushing through when it's fresh soil in there, but the water's able to get out. And then by the time that deteriorates, your soil is holding itself together, so it's not going to flush through the hole.
Yeah, quite often when you have the fresh soil in there and you don't have the filter, you'll see the water drip through and it'll be brown across your patio or your deck, and that can stain, so you don't want that to happen.
So if you don't have coffee filters, paper towel works pretty well too.
Any more questions? Yes.
How do you move these?
What was that?
How do you move them?
We call courtesy. When you're doing something this big, start it on
Either plant it where you want it,
one of these,
or
so that you
make it
can,
movable.
that way you can scooch it where you want it.
Those wheels have locks on them, don't they?
What?
Do those wheels have locks on them?
No.
Yes, it does.
This berry one here, is that one that also attracts hummingbirds and is good for,
Which one are we talking about?
on this red planter that you did, and you've got the berry green?
The Hypericum? on the left, on my left, your right.
Yes.
Does it attract hummingbirds? I have never seen them on mine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have hummingbirds, but I've never seen them on mine.
Is there any point that you have to completely change out the potting soil to like refresh it?
Yes.
If you are doing annual containers and you're emptying it at the end of the season, say if you're switching over to fall stuff now, I would put new soil in there because those especially if you've had annuals in there are very heavy feeders and they probably depleted the soil, but also it can harbor over pest and disease in that soil. So I think this is a great time if you're completely replanting your container, put all fresh soil in there. Get your fertilizer without a high nitrogen in there, and then potentially, as long as you haven't had any pest or disease issues, you could continue to use that come spring, adding a little fresh fertilizer in there.
I was gonna say with any of the larger evergreens that you have in there, maybe they'll last 2-3 years. Make sure you still put the calcium, the azomite, and the fertilizer each season, each year.
If I have some blueberries and I need to replant into a bigger pot, would you recommend just using all dirt or with the upside?
I would recommend, they do like to have root space, so I wouldn't use an upsadaisy unless you had a gigantic pot. And I would recommend the acid soil for that. Blueberries like acid soil and fertilizers.
Maybe the rhododendron azalea one, but you'll see blueberries pictured on the package.
Yes.
I have a 5-foot rectangular pot.
Uh-huh.
Would you do 1 or 2 thrillers to get started, or maybe one?
It depends
off to the side?
on how you like that look. I would do 1 or 3.
Okay.
Odd numbers are always good because if you have 2, then your eye goes to just dividing it up into sections. If you have 3, and what you could do is do 1 in the center that's taller, and then 2 more flanking it with a little space between them, and then fill it from there with your stair steps.
Or if you chose to do 1 that's maybe got some width to it, just step it down. Kind of like this is step it down on both sides. You can do that.
You could do this, but have these spaced out a little bit with shorter stuff in between.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? No? Okay, we do have some sales going on. We've got annuals are going to be 30% off. The soils that we discussed are going to be 30% off. And outdoor glazed pots are 75% off.
Make sure you tell the cashier that you were here for the class to get to the discounts, because our normal public isn't getting these discounts today. Just those of you who attended.
Just today.
Thank you.
That's just for today.
It's for
The
a
next
week,
2 days. Because it
but
would-
we are running
yeah.
into
Yeah.
customer appreciation. If you don't know about customer appreciation,
That
starts on Monday. Everything on the premises is on sale. We have been beefing up our 50% off sections to have a lot of 50% off plants.
There's some great things in 50%
We've been
off.
bringing in fresh plants to be able to give
Yeah.
you at a sale price.
There's 50% area back here, as well as annuals in the annual department.
So this next Monday through Sunday is customer appreciation. Lots of good deals.
Yes.
But you get started on some early.
Does the 30% off include the Sure Start?
Does a 30% what?
The Sure Start?
That does not include the fertilizer.
Okay.
Okay. You guys enjoy your planting.
Thank you.